Before we begin, if you enjoy gentle bedtime tales like this, don't forget to subscribe, so you'll always have a story for you when the night grows quiet. Chapter 1. Before the Glass Slipper, Roots, Motifs, and the Grimm Hearth. Close your eyes for a moment and listen for the tiniest sounds, a hush like falling soot, a soft wing beat in the rafters, the low, steady breath of a sleeping house. We begin here by the fire where stories warm their hands and time curls like smoke. There is a wooden stool by the hearth and a simple broom leaning against the wall. There's a hazel twig in a clay jar, just green enough to promise leaves, just ordinary enough to be missed if you rush. You are not rushing, not tonight. A Cinderella story is a promise told in small steps, a good heart, a hard life, help that arrives at the exact moment it is most needed, a dance in a room full of light, a sudden leaving, a slipper or something like it, left behind like a held breath, a search that is really recognition, a home restored, not only in bricks and beams, but in the soft seat of the soul. We will take our time with each part because slow is the speed of rest, and rest is the point of a bedtime tale. Breathe in slowly, as if you smell bread from the oven. Breathe out slowly, as if you blow a single grain of ash from your sleeve. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. Long before glass gleamed on any stair, there was a girl in the East whose friend lived in water. Her name, in one old telling, was Yechian. She worked, and she was slighted, and she was lonely in a house that did not love her. But at the edge of her world, beneath a surface that looked quiet and ordinary, swam a miracle. A fish spirit who knew her kindness and answered it. The fish brought gifts. The fish kept faith. And when the fish was taken, its bones remembered. From those bones came a dress, bright as moonlight on water, and a pair of shoes that turned steps into shining threads. Yechian went to a gathering. She left suddenly. A shoe remained, small as a secret, certain as a star. A ruler searched the land, not for a foot that could be forced into a shape, but for the person whose whole life felt like the other half of a single, careful fit. When he found her, the world shifted into place with a soft click, like a latch easing shut at night. Far to the west, near the Nile, there was another story of wind and sandals. A young woman, sometimes called Rhodopis, is said to have lost a slipper to the sky itself. An eagle lifted it. A king received it. He read it as a message carried by the day. He searched until he found the wearer, and in that recognition, the old wish, the wish to be seen truly, flared and settled. Whether this happened exactly as the old voices say is less important than the feeling it gives, that the world can notice you, that what is light and delicate and yours can still be strong enough to call someone across great distances. Let the images arrange themselves gently. A pool with ripples that find the shore, a wing in the high blue air, a slipper that is as much a letter as an object. Stories traveling like birds, like boats, like whispered songs remembered by grandmothers who never learned to write them down but never needed to. In France, a teller named Charles Perrault set the tale into a room lit by courtesy and candlelight. He gave the girl a gown that glowed and a godmother who laughed and a pumpkin that rolled its way into being something more. He loved neatness. He loved cleverness, too, the kind that cleans a mess with a rhyme and a wand wave. In his world, polite people received their rewards in polite ways. Forgiveness, soft like velvet. Kindness, a skill that opens doors without rattling them. Breathe in. We will go a little farther. In German woods, two brothers wrote down versions of voices that were already old when they heard them. Their girl sat in ash, yes, but she also planted a twig from her mother's grave and watered it with tears until it grew into a hazel tree full of quiet help. Aschenputtel, they called her, Ash Girl. When she needed a dress, she did not ask a stranger in a shining coach. She shook the tree, and a bird answered, and what she needed fell into her open hands. She went to the assembly not once, but 3 times, because sometimes being seen takes practice. And when the powerful tried to force a shape onto a life that did not match it, the truth arrived as simple as birdsong. Look carefully. Look at how she walks. Look at how the shoe and the person agree with each other in more ways than one. We will be gentle with the old edges of that tale, because bedtime is not for harshness. We can still understand what those edges meant. They warned against trying to make what is wrong fit by cutting pieces away. They promised that the world has better ways of finding rightness than force. In the Grimm hearth, justice is plain and steady, like bread on a wooden board. In Perrault's salon, justice is sweet, sugared with kindness and glitter. Both are warm. Both are a kind of home. Feel the warmth of the fire on your hands. Feel the cool of the floor through your shoes. In the glow, notice details. A brush with a few loose bristles. The seam where plaster meets timber. A pattern of soot that looks like a feather. These little things are the texture of ordinary life. Cinderella stories never begin in castles. They begin where work is done. They begin where a person's goodness is not a performance, but a habit practiced when no one is watching. Now listen for another sound. The soft knocking of time. Not a frightening clock, not a countdown. Just a reminder that moments have shapes. Midnight is a folded corner in a book, not an alarm. In many versions, the magic fades at 12. Why? To promise that joy never traps you. The story says, you may leave, you may rest, you may come back when you are ready. We have a shoe. We have a gathering place. We have a girl who has known small sorrows and learned small braveries. We have helpers, birds, mice, a tree that remembers love, a fairy with a twinkle, a friend with a gentle plan. We have a token left behind that is really a message. I was here. I am real. Find me if you understand. If you are sleepy, let yourself slip a little deeper into the cushions now. You can miss a sentence or two. The story will keep walking quietly, and you can catch up anywhere. This is a path with many footprints. This is a song with a chorus easy to hum. Walk now from the hearth to the doorway. Feel the night. The sky is not black. It is a deep blue that belongs to velvet dresses and lakes at dusk. Somewhere a lantern swings on a hook. Somewhere the stars give you their slow attention. A slipper glints in your imagination, not to pinch, not to prove, but to suggest that what fits you may be delicate and strong at once. In the image of ash is humility. In the image of the tree is grief that grew leaves. In the image of birds is a community that whispers the truth kindly and without fear. In the image of the clock is a margin that protects your joy. In the image of the ball is a room where you can be seen by people who did not notice you yesterday. In the image of the slipper is a promise that life meets you at your measurements, not the other way around. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. When people say Cinderella, they sometimes mean a fairy tale, and sometimes they mean a shape that other stories wear for a night. They mean a team that starts in ashes and ends in light. They mean luck, but also labor. They mean a change that does not turn you into someone else, but allows you to step into yourself more plainly. The shape is older than prints on paper. It is a way of hoping. Imagine the hazel twig again. Imagine planting something small in honor of someone you miss, watering it with every kindness you do. In time, it becomes a tree with a cool shadow that you share with others. In time, it becomes a place where wishes arrive like fruit. If the word magic feels too sharp for sleep, let us say help. Help that feels like the world noticed your kindness and wanted to give it back. The hearth sounds lower now, more like a cat purring than a fire. The house is almost fully asleep. If your mind wanders, let it wander through kitchens and courtyards and dance floors, because all of them hold pieces of the same map. A map that leads from being overlooked to being understood. It is not a straight road. It loops and curls. It lets you stop and breathe. Soon pictures will begin to move. Soon music will put a hand on your shoulder and steer you across a polished floor. But for this last quiet minute in the old room, notice how much the story already knows. It knows about loss. It knows about chores. It knows about the tiny rebellions of kindness in cold places. It knows that sometimes leaving early is the bravest act of the night. It knows that a shoe is never just a shoe when it belongs to someone's becoming. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. When you are ready, stand and step through the door. The air outside is cool. The path is soft with fallen leaves. Somewhere ahead, in the not-too-distant future, a screen will flicker and a waltz will catch at your heart. For now, walk softly. The century is waiting. Hook to next chapter. The lights dim, the projector hums, and paper silhouettes learn to dance. Chapter 2. Silent Shadows to Storybook Frames, 1920s, 1940s. The room is dark, but it is not empty. A beam of light passes through dust like snow in a sun ray. A reel turns. A soft clicking begins. Before voices lived inside films, pictures learn to breathe. Shadows become dancers. Paper becomes lace. A hand off-screen moves a world with tweezers and care. It is quiet enough that you can hear your own breath and the breath of the person seated beside you somewhere in the past. Together you lean toward light. On a small table somewhere in a studio that smells faintly of glue and ink, cut paper turns into a kingdom. Black silhouettes find each other and bow. A carriage rolls forward, its wheels simple circles cut cleanly. A girl in ash stands straighter than the world expects. The edges are crisp, the gestures graceful, the magic so gentle it could be missed if you blinked. You do not blink. You watch as if the shapes might dissolve without your attention, and your attention becomes a kind of kindness that holds them together. This is how cinema first learned to cradle fairy tales, carefully, with hands visible in the patience of each frame. Stories were not shouted, they were suggested. The space around them mattered. The silence was not a lack, it was room for your own music. A pianist in the corner found the heartbeat of the scene and matched it. Sometimes slightly ahead, sometimes slightly behind, like a friend walking at your pace. There were other rooms, too, where Cinderella was a book on a bedside table. A cover with a castle drawn in white lines, a dress the color of sleep, gilded edges that flashed when you turned the pages slowly. In those rooms, a child's head rested on a lap. A lamp made an island of brightness on the blanket. Each picture held more than it could show because you were filling it with your own house's sounds, a kettle cooling, a clock with a small voice, the distant low of a streetcar, the chorus of quiet that lives in every home at night. In the 1930s and 40s, screens grew larger, but the reasons for sitting together in the dark did not change. People wanted rest from the day's edges. They wanted to be held by a story that knew how to be kind. Cinderella, in any form, offered order without cruelty and hope without hurry. She cleaned the floor, and in doing so became the bravest person in the room, because she did it without letting bitterness touch her fingers. She received help without shame. She went to a party without pretending to be someone else. She left when staying would have asked too much. Listen to the projector hum a little lower now, as if the reel itself is sleepy. A close-up of a slipper appears. The audience breathes as one. Does it fit? Will it fit? We all know the answer, but that does not lessen the soft thrill of watching recognition happen. It is not the size of a foot that matters. It is the size of a heart and the shape of a life. The shoe is a key and the person is a door. And the click you hear is not locking, it is opening. Outside the theaters and picture books, people made their own small versions. A curtain across a doorway became a stage. A scarf became a sash. A teacup became a coach, rolling along the edge of a rug, pushed by two hands that believed. The tale belonged to everyone, so everyone tried it on. You can try it on now if you like. Imagine the feel of a glove that belongs to you alone. Imagine the support of a shoe that could carry you across a night without noise. In these years, artists learned to treat light and dark like fabric. They cut and stitched them into rooms. A stepmother might stand in a doorway with light behind her, turning her into a sharp shape against a soft background. A godmother might glow not because of any trick, but because every edge in the frame pointed toward her like quiet arrows. You followed, you were led. Your eyes rested where the story wanted them to rest. It is a kindness when a tale guides your gaze in this way. It takes away the work of searching. It lets you calm down. The ballroom in early images had a mathematical calm. It was not crowded. The rise and fall of the dancers felt like a breath. Even at a distance, you could see the rhythm of grace. Step, turn, pause, step, turn, pause. The camera respected space. It did not jolt. It slid like a skater. It gave you time to see dresses sway and hands find each other. It made you an honored guest. It let you leave early, and when you left, the music did not chase you out. It followed at a polite distance, like a friend seeing you to your door. Between the dark of theaters and the small, warm pools of living room lamps, the tale built a bridge. On one side, handmade art. On the other, hand-turned pages. In the middle, listeners who needed both. We sometimes think of innovation as a leap, but here it was a slow step. Shadow to color, silence to song, paper to paint to celluloid. Each step included the last one inside it, like a pocket in a dress containing a folded note. If you feel your shoulders softening, let them. If your eyelids weigh a little more, let them. The story will hold your place. You can set it down like a cup on a saucer and pick it up again without spilling. Now the images begin to gather themselves into a new form. A studio many miles away lights its drafting rooms and warms its coffee mugs. Artists pin color studies to corkboards and stand back with their heads tipped slightly. The way people look at clouds and try to name their shapes. A name rises out of the hum. It is a girl's name, simple and bright. It is also the name of a bet, a hope, a plan for survival. Soon, pictures will not just breathe, they will sing. Hook to next chapter. A waltz hums somewhere offstage, and satin blue waits at the edge of the frame. Chapter 3, 1950. Disney's Lifeline in satin blue, opening. The first thing is color. Not the loudness of it, but the mood. The way powder blue can feel like a cool hand on a brow. The way soft gold can feel like morning through thin curtains. The way gray can be the gentle kind that kittens wear. On a desk, there are small paintings no bigger than placemats. In them, hallways are simple and long. Windows hold night like a cup holds tea. A girl stands at the bottom of a staircase, and the staircase is not just wood. It is a path upward through trouble. The film opens its eyes with calm. Mice whisper and bustle, their language a series of friendly shapes. A cat pads with comic malice that never truly threatens the safety of the room, because this is bedtime logic. The sharpness is buffered with laughter so that children and the tired hearts of adults can rest. The stepmother sits with perfect posture, voice low and even. She does not need to shout to be terrifying. She is the kind of cold that makes you keep your coat on indoors. She is framed by straight lines. We learn about power from the edges of her room. Cinderella sings, and the song is not an argument. It is a practice. A dream is a wish your heart makes, she tells herself, and us, and the dust swirling in little lazy circles in her small attic. The lyric does not hurry. The melody moves like a rocking chair. In a different story, a pep talk might crackle with sparks. Here it gathers warmth slowly like a kettle steam. The words do not insist that everything will be easy. They simply give your heart a job to do while the rest of you folds laundry and feeds friends and waits for the day to turn. Breathe in. The ball is announced like a bedtime story. First, a proclamation, then a flurry of sewing, then laughter. It sounds like a spoon clinking against a glass. The mice decide to help. This, too, is the logic of comfort. Help arrives where your care has already made a home. If you have fed others, they will feed you. If you have been gentle with small lives will carry big kindness back to your door. The dress they make is not perfect. It does not need to be. It is love turned into fabric and ribbon. It is enough to step into light. When the dress is torn, the movie pauses, not in time, but in feeling. The courtyard is dim. The world is full of edges. Cinderella walks away with her head down, but not destroyed. The sky above her is a deep blue bowl that will never spill. She reaches the bench by the fountain, and we see water that looks like lullaby and leaves that look like hands. She weeps. But the weeping is not a cliff. It is a river with banks. The scene says, you may feel this fully, and then you may feel something else. The godmother arrives laughing, as if joy itself had been waiting behind the hedge until it heard the right kind of cry. She is not majestic in a sharp way. She is comfortable, like a relative who knows exactly where the sugar jar lives in your kitchen. Her magic works the way good company works. It makes everything in the room feel slightly more possible. A pumpkin becomes a coach not because pumpkins are glamorous, but because mobility is a kindness. It matters to get you where you need to go. The dress appears in a shimmer that keeps its dignity. The sparkle is there, but it is soft as starlight. The blue is the color of a cool summer night. If you watch closely, you can see not just transformation, but acceptance. The way Cinderella stands in her new shape, as if it had always been waiting inside the old one, patient and sure. In the ballroom, the camera glides. It does not need to insist that this is magical. It lets your breath decide. The prince is not a storm. He is a person who notices. They move together, and for a moment, it feels like a continuation of that silent era grace, improved but not replaced. Step, turn, pause, step, turn, pause. The waltz does not seize you, it holds you. If you are listening in the dark of your room now, you might hear a ghost of that melody. It is content to be quiet. Midnight arrives like a friend who knows when to say, "That's enough for tonight." The clock's face fills the screen, but its voice is not cruel. It reminds you of margins. It promises you another time. The slipping of the shoe is a gentle accident that becomes a clear message. The run down the stairs is exciting without panic. The dress floats. The coach rolls. The mice cheer. The spell unwinds with the same courtesy with which it was tied. Back in the small attic, there is no bitterness. Cinderella remembers the feel of the dance, not as a loss, but as a real thing that now lives in her memory. This is the teaching the film gives, softly again and again. A good moment is not lessened by ending. It becomes part of you. It becomes something you can rest on, like a folded blanket waiting at the foot of your bed. When the search begins, the kingdom is treated like a neighborhood. Doors open, people laugh, feet are washed and dried, the shoe travels in careful hands, and the music bounces gently as if it too were being carried in a velvet-lined box. The stepsisters push and preen, but even their noise is rounded. The humor never scalds them. It simply lets them be who they are until the story passes them by and chooses kindness instead. And in the end, recognition happens the way it always should, without force, without hurry, and with the clean sound of something that fits, finding the place where it belongs. The mice wave. The cat grumbles and forgets. The godmother's laughter lingers somewhere off-screen, like a memory of being held. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. Chapter 4. Other Kingdoms. Global Cinders, TV Stages, Winter Forests, 1950, 1990. The snow is falling in slow, kind flakes. Not the storm kind, the lullaby kind. A courtyard waits, white and clean as a sheet laid out for stitching. A hawk turns once above the rooftops and drifts toward the woods. Somewhere a horse stamps, and the sound is soft as a mittened hand tapping a table twice. This is a different country, but the same heart. A girl stands at the edge of a winter morning. She is not made of satin. She is made of brisk air and steady breath, and eyes that do not lose their light. In this telling, a dress is not the only magic. A bow, a path through trees, a way of reading tracks in snow, these are magic too. The world itself leans in to help, the way a friend leans in to listen. You can feel the cold, but it is an awake kind of cold. It sharpens without wounding. It teaches you how to move and how to notice. Take one more breath. Let it fog the glass and then fade. We are in Bohemia first. We are in the crisp frames of 3 wishes for Cinderella, a hawk on a woman's wrist, a mare who knows the way home, a stepmother whose voice can make a kitchen colder, a prince who is not a parade float, but a person who looks twice and sees more the second time. The wishes are small and exact. A dress that fits the woods as well as a ballroom, a moment of cleverness, a chance to choose. This Cinderella can ride. She can aim. She can refuse to be hurried. When she comes to the ball, she does not come to be seen and then claimed. She comes to see if the room deserves her steps. The camera keeps its distance respectful. The snow keeps its own counsel. The film says, courage can be quiet and warm at once. Listen to how the winter changes the old story's rhythm. Midnight is not a clock on a wall. Midnight is when breath hangs in the air like silk and the world turns its face to the moon. The shoe is not a glittering threat to fragile feet. It is a proof that someone who belongs to the woods can also belong to the room. The search is not a farce. It is a kindness performed door by door in a village that knows every name already. You are safe. You are warm, even here, among frost and fur. The story will watch over you. Turn now. The snow melts into stage light. A curtain rises in 1,000 American living rooms at once. The year is 1957, and television is a new kind of hearth. Rodgers Hammerstein's Cinderella goes out live. Julie Andrews sings as if every sofa in the country were a front row seat. The camera glides because the songs need space to finish their sentences. The sets are painted in loving shorthand. A stair, a balcony, a chandelier that knows exactly how bright to be. The experience is communal and completely private. Families fold themselves around screens. The music moves through walls as steam moves through winter air, seen, then not seen, but always felt. The songs are not spells, they are invitations. 10 minutes ago is how memory talks when it is smiling. In my own little corner is the practice of imagination as daily bread. The live broadcast is a promise kept in the moment it is made, then kept again as it is remembered. The ball is a televised kindness, a way to say to a nation, you can rest for an hour. Someone else will move the story forward for you. 8 years pass like a page turning softly. 1965 returns to the score with Leslie Ann Warren. The colors are gentler, the camera closer. The feeling is a living room with extra stardust. This version is a long exhale. It does not try to be grand. It tries to be near. The stepsisters puff themselves up without popping the room's mood. The godmother still arrives like a laugh around a corner. The slipper still waits patiently for the right foot, knowing perfectly well that it will be found in time. Then the world turns and another curtain opens. 1997 carries a different kind of magic into the room. Brandy looks straight into the lens, and the lens looks straight back. Whitney Houston smiles like someone who already knows the ending and wants you to have the joy of reaching it yourself. The casting is not a trick. It is a dream made ordinary by being true on screen. The sets are jewel boxes. The costumes are celebration. The songs feel like friends you can lean on. When impossible becomes it's possible, the words do not scold you for not believing sooner. They take your hand and walk with you across the bridge. Do you hear the through line? Winter Woods, live television. A glittering studio set that looks like the inside of a music box. 3 different rooms with one lesson in each. Magic is not one color, one voice, one way of walking through a door. Magic is the right help at the right time. Magic changes shape to meet you where you live. Let's stroll quietly through other houses and town squares. In the Soviet Solushka, the humor is spry. The music is bright. The palace has the clean angles of a New Year card. The heroine's goodness is practical. She knows where to set a tray so no one bumps it. She knows how to stand so a draft cannot find her. When the slipper comes, it arrives like a chance to rest for a moment inside a shape made just for her. In picture books across Europe, artists swap out pumpkins for pears, glass for gold, birds for stars. A hazel tree becomes a linden. A dove becomes a sparrow. The wish remains the same. The readers change. The wish remains the same. A bedtime lamp turns one page, then another. The wish remains the same. The televisions turn to sleep. The theaters empty and wait for another night. The snow returns and writes its slow letters on the ground. The story travels on. It passes through 1,000 voices and keeps the taste of each one. It learns lullabies in new keys. It learns to do without a coach for a night, and to ride a mare instead. It learns that a ball can be a ballroom, or a village square, or a song sung softly by someone washing a cup at a sink after dinner. If you need to move, you can adjust your pillow. If you need to drink, you can sip. The chapter won't run away. It waits for you like a patient friend in a well-lit room. Before we leave this era, let's look again at the ways kindness moves. In 3 Wishes for Cinderella, it rides on a hawk's shadow and hides in an apple tree. In Rodgers Hammerstein, it rides on melody and arrives in perfect rhyme. In Zolushka, it wears a smile you can see from the back row. Each time, it recognizes the one who has been doing the small, good things all along. Each time, It bows first. If you have ever done a chore and hummed to make it go faster, you have already learned the dance step that unlocks the next room. The winter fades. The curtain lowers. The living room lights up again, but softly. The snow isn't cold anymore. It's just quiet. And the quiet is kind. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. Hook to next chapter. A trunk opens. Velvet, denim, satin sneakers. And the tale tries on a new century's shoes. Chapter 5. 1990s. 2010. S. Reinventions. Courage, kindness, and cleverness. A trunk sits at the foot of a bed. The lid is propped open with a book. Inside, a velvet gown that smells faintly of cedar, a pair of scuffed sneakers with Sharpie hearts on the rubber, a dress with embroidery like vines, a leather-bound sketchbook with the corner worn smooth, a mask that is more like a wink than a disguise. Tonight the story does not pick just one. Tonight it tries them on in turn, then layers them like a person getting ready not for a single party, but for a life. We begin in 1998, in a France arranged by filmmakers who love candles and doorways and the angle sunlight makes when it enters a kitchen at 4 in the afternoon. Ever After looks at the old tale and sets down the wand for a while. The magic is real, but it is made of nerve and knowledge and timing. Danielle reads. She quotes, "She bargains with her own future by saving another's present. Her shoes do not shimmer, but they hold steady when she runs toward danger for someone else. She loves Da Vinci's maps and sketches and the way imagination can be built with wood and canvas and string. The ball is not a test. It is one scene in a longer chapter where character does the work that spells used to do. When her wings are torn, the film does not rush to repair them. It lets her stand as herself and be seen in that exact shape. The recognition that follows is not surprised by her strength. It has been watching, and it has learned. Breathe. Turn the page. 2004 walks into a school hallway. Lockers clang open and shut with the same rhythm as a chorus snapping its fingers. A Cinderella story asks what a ball is, if not the biggest dance of the year, and what a mask is, if not a username. The stepsisters are cruel in familiar fluorescent ways. The stepmother is loud because the room is loud, and because money is a kind of microphone. The girl writes. She looks for someone who can read what she wrote and see the person inside the letters. The slipper is a phone. The coach is a car with a gas light stubbornly on. The search is a series of near misses in the hours between classes. Does it sound silly? It is not in the center. It is the old wish translated into a language with pep rallies and cafeteria tables. Kindness shows up in small acts, a friend saving a seat, a text that says, "Are you okay?" at the right time. The happily ever after looks like a better map through the school year and a plan for where to go after. The trunk is still open. A spell glints beneath a stack of paperbacks. Ella, Enchanted, slides the ribbon off and smiles with all her teeth. This is the story of obedience, and about the right to say no even when the world hands you yes, like a gift that is actually a loss. The film is playful on purpose. It knows that jokes are good armor. It knows that a dance number can turn a crowd into a troop of allies for 3 minutes of safe passage. Ella is cursed with compliance, but she learns to look at the curse without blinking until it blinks first. When she breaks it, the room breathes out with her. The glass around her life is gone, and not because someone else lifted it. She lifted it herself with her own hands, and the mark those hands leave on the story is permanent and kind. If you need to change position, change. The story, like a good gown, has ease sewn into it. A path turns into a forest of voices. Into the Woods, the stage musical, then the 2014 film, pulls fairy tales close to each other and lets them talk. It is a conversation late at night around a table littered with crumbs and tea rings. Wishes come true and then they don't, or they do, but not like that. Cinderella, in this tangle of songs, still leaves the ball at midnight, but she also climbs a tree to think and hides on staircases to listen, and asks herself whether a prince or anyone sees her or just the idea of her. On the steps of the palace is a bedtime thinking out loud, a list of options laid out slowly enough to notice the way each one feels in the mouth and in the chest. The woods themselves become a symbol for uncertainty that does not have to be frightening to be real. People make mistakes. People forgive. People sing soft duets to the moon about the ways they will try again in the morning. The show and the film say, it is safe to look gently at the hard parts. It is safe to say, I did this and I want that, and I am learning. The trunk shuts for a second, then opens again. Inside is a dress that looks like it was sewn out of courage and kindness. It is not shy. It glows without glare. 2015 brings Disney's live-action Cinderella, and with it, a motto that is not a scold or a slogan, but a daily practice. Have courage and be kind. Lily James walks into rooms as if she belongs in rooms, even when others say she does not. Kate Blanchett makes cruelty elegant without making it right. Sandy Powell's costumes are operas without sound, color doing work that in other films would ask a monologue to carry. The godmother, a glittering, amused Helena Bonham Carter, drops magic like confetti and then lets the human magic do the rest. The ball is, again, a waltz that teaches you how to breathe. The prince is not only a hand extended, he is also an ear that listens and a mind that decides carefully. The ending is not triumph, it is relief, not I won, but I can live as myself, and that is enough. Watch how the reinventions adjust the balance without breaking the frame. In Ever After, agency is the spell. In a Cinderella story, anonymity is both mask and mirror. In Ella Enchanted, consent is the glass that must not be forced overfoot. In Into the Woods, reflection is the road. In 2015, the timeless instruction becomes a modern ritual. Courage to walk, kindness to look after those you pass, the right to leave the party when you are done. If you are drifting, drift. These stories are pillows stacked in a fort. You can sink into one and still feel the support of the others around you. There are more gowns in the trunk, sequins from a TV movie, a stitched emblem from a theater school production, a thrifted skirt striped like a circus tent, a pair of boots that make a different sound on stairs. Each is a variation. Each invents its own midnight. The point is not to pick a single best dress and lock it in a closet. The point is to keep a few within reach so that whichever day comes, you have clothes that fit it well. Think of the mice for a moment. In the older films, they sew. In the newer ones, their job is done by friends, a parent figure, a team who reads your draft, a roommate who paints your thrifted shoes, a teacher who says try. Chorus of help changes faces, not hearts. That chorus is the inheritance we keep retelling the story to remember. You're safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. Hook to next chapter. Set the trunk aside and lay out a small table. Slipper, clock hand, hazel twig, feather, pumpkin stem, and let each object glow one by one. Chapter 6. Symbols at midnight, slippers, clocks, trees, and birds. Set a velvet cloth on the table. It is the deep blue of a sky 15 minutes before true night. Place the objects down gently. We will look at them the way a museum guide would. but softer. We will look at them the way a friend looks at rings on a tray and tells you the stories of who wore them and when. We will not hurry. Each symbol knows how to wait. First, the slipper. It can be glass. It can be fur. Old scholars whisper that a French word blurred a line, that ver and ver traded places in the lamplight. Either way, it means a fit that is true. Glass makes fragility a kind of bravery. Fur makes warmth a kind of appointment kept. The slipper is not a standard. It is a message. This shape will not hurt you. This way of walking will not blister you. You are not meant to be squeezed or stretched to make someone else comfortable. You are meant to stand and breathe and feel your toes sing quietly inside a shoe that knows them by name. Close your eyes and imagine a pair that fits you now, not for a ball, for your exact life. Maybe they are soft. Maybe they are sturdy. Maybe they have a scuff that you remember getting on a good day. Feel how your body changes when your feet are believed. Feel what happens in your shoulders when you stop bracing. This is the slipper's lesson. The right support is a spell. Next, the clock. In some rooms it booms. In ours tonight, it purrs. Midnight is not a threat. Midnight is a boundary written in polite ink. You may go home. You may rest. You may decide how long a miracle lasts, and when you need to lay it down gently and pick it up again tomorrow. The clock gives shape to joy so that joy does not spill and make a mess you then have to mop and address. It is not scolding you when it chimes. It is reminding you that even the loveliest party is easier to love when you leave while it still loves you back. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, breathe out for 6. Imagine the clock nodding along. That is all it asks. Now the tree. In Grimm, it is hazel. You plant it with grief. You water it with tears that are not performative, not public, not for praise. They are the kind that come because a loss is real and must have a place to live beside your ribs. The tree grows. Its leaves are the color of mercy. Birds come to rest in it. It remembers what you asked for. It is not a vending machine. It is a grandmother who keeps a drawer of ribbons and a tin of buttons and says, "Let us see what we can make." When you shake the branches, it is not a demand. It is the way you let the tree know you are ready to carry what it offers. Think of a place or a practice that is your tree, a bench you visit, a song you play, a journal you keep, a walk you take around the block and back. This is the tree's lesson. Grief planted carefully becomes shade. Sorrow tended gently becomes fruit. Pick up the feather. It belongs to a dove, or to a lark, or to a sparrow. It belongs to the idea that you are not doing this alone. In the old stories, birds see what people miss and say aloud what people won't. They refuse to let a lie stand still. They point their small beaks at the truth and sing it. In the new stories, friends do this work. A group chat, a colleague who says your name in the right room, a neighbor who leaves soup, a mouse sewing a seam with his whole body, a chorus of small voices making a large, gentle sound. We see you. We saw you yesterday. We will see you tomorrow. If you want, whisper a thank you into your pillow now. To someone who was a bird for you once. Let it be quiet. Let it count. Roll the pumpkin stem in your palm. It is funny on purpose. That is part of its power. The coach was always a logistics problem solved with flair. The pumpkin says, planning can be shimmering. Schedules can be kind. Transportation is a human right in fairyland. The mice are happy to pull you because they like doing important jobs for someone who treats them as important whether or not they are pulling anything. The lizards are footmen and look startled and pleased. They will tell this story at their next lizard party. The magic makes a way. and the way feels delighted to exist. When the spell ends, no one is punished with debris. The pieces roll back into what they were, which is still good. Soup is still soup. A mouse is still a friend. You can laugh about how beautiful it was and not feel foolish for needing it. The mask, finally. Sometimes a veil, sometimes username, sometimes good posture, and a certain angle of chin. Masks are not lies in these rooms. They are pauses. They are ways to enter bright spaces slowly. A mask lets you find out whether you are safe without giving away everything at once. That is not trickery. That is wisdom. In some versions, the prince takes off his own mask later. The mask of being an answer. He becomes a person, asking questions alongside you. You both learn that a face is not a promise. A face is a surface that shelters a whole night sky of thought. Lay the items back down on the cloth. They look like a set for a play set in a single room. That is how most days feel. The magic is not far. It is an arm's length away if you know the shape of it. Let's use the symbols once more, but slower, as a guided path to sleep. Slipper. Imagine stepping into the cool exactness of a shoe that holds without squeezing. 1 step. 2. The floor approves. Your muscles relax the way a book closes itself on a finger when you pause to listen to the rain. Good. Clock. Imagine the hand sweeping to 12 like a bird gliding to a branch. No impact, no alarm, just a landing. The room is still lovely. You leave because you are wise, not because you are scolded. Good. Tree. Imagine touching the bark and feeling your history arranged there like rings. This year, that year. The year when everything was too loud. The year when everything went quiet and then right-sized. Ask. Let the leaves answer. Good. Birds. Imagine tiny feet on your shoulder for a second. Light, then gone. Imagine a chorus on the windowsill practicing the truth they will sing tomorrow. Good. Pumpkin. Imagine a way appearing where there wasn't one. A ride, a plan. A box checked with a flourish. Laughter in the breath. Good. Mask. Imagine tying a soft ribbon behind your head and feeling safe to walk into a big room. Imagine untie it later and feeling equally safe to leave. Good. You can feel the table under your hands. You can feel the cloth under the objects. You can feel the floor under your feet. Layer under layer under layer. It is all holding. Before we end, one more small story for each symbol, a handful of pocket-sized scenes. A slipper sits on a radiator to warm before a pre-dawn commute. The person who owns it smiles when their toes slide in. I am carried, they think, and the day carries them. A clock at a hospital nurse's station ticks softly. A nurse decides to leave on time tonight. The patients are tucked. The lights are low. The choice is a kind of spell that protects tomorrow. A tree in a courtyard stands where someone's grandmother once laughed. 2 children chase each other around it, and in the bark, a ribbon is tied in the neatest knot you ever saw. A bird steals a French fry and drops it in front of someone crying on a bench. The person laughs through the tears. Thank you, they say to the bird and to the world that sent it. A pumpkin on a stoop in November caves in a little and still looks happy. Inside the house, a bus pass is taped to a mirror. Movement is possible, the tape says without words. A mask made of glitter and paper is found under a chair in a community hall. The person who picks it up remembers the moment they felt okay because they were not yet known. They smile. They put the mask in the lost and found and walk home without it. Set your own small symbol on the cloth now. It can be anything. A key, a pen, a recipe card in a long dead aunt's handwriting, a sweater button, a seashell that proves the sea still exists even when you cannot hear it from where you sleep. Let it be there. Let it glow and then dim with the others. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. When you open your eyes, we will go on. There are more rooms, more gowns, more songs on staircases. But for this breath and the next, the slipper fits the night. The clock is kind. The tree stands. The birds know. The pumpkin waits by the door. The mask is soft in your hand. The table is steady. The cloth is blue. And you are here. Chapter 7. Women of the house. Godmothers, stepmothers, sisters, and Cinderella herself. 4 chairs, 1 table, a candle for each place. Steam rises from 4 cups and curls into the air like ribbon. In this quiet room, every woman in the tale is invited to sit and speak softly. No shouting, no verdicts, only stories poured at the pace of breath. First chair, Cinderella. She does not begin with the night of the ball. She begins with mornings. Buckets, brooms, bread dough, mended seams. The way work becomes music when you hum to keep time. The way hands remember motions long after the mind tires. She tells the room that kindness is not decoration, it is infrastructure. It is how a day holds together when nobody thanks you for the holding. She does not say she is patient to be praised. She says she is patient because bitterness is heavier than water, and she has carried enough already. In some telling, she laughs easily. In others, she saves laughter like coins. Either way, she does not mistake silence for weakness. She knows when silence is rest, when it is listening, and when it is survival. The first chair teaches this. Gentleness is not the same as giving in. Gentleness is a choice you can carry through a door without spilling. Second chair, fairy godmother. She arrives as if she was in the next room all along, waiting for the right moment not to appear but to be welcomed. Sometimes she twinkles like string lights on a porch. Sometimes she sings like a friend who knows all the good parts by heart. Sometimes she is cozy and round. Sometimes she is sleek and winged. Sometimes she is a seamstress with hands full of pins and the calm of a person who has fixed worse tears in less time. Her magic is not a cheat. It is a kindness with logistics. She hears, she assesses, she equips. Pumpkin becomes coach because getting you there matters. Mice become horses because small friends have big potential when the world makes room. The wand flourishes, yes, but before the sparkles, there is listening. Tell me what you need, says her presence, even when she never asks it aloud. In every century, the godmother's form changes. A glamorous aunt who knows the doorman. A neighbor who babysits so you can shower before the interview. A teacher who writes the recommendation letter you didn't know how to request. A singer who smiles and says, "It's possible," and makes the whole room believe it because she does. She teaches this. Help is holy when it preserves your dignity and expands your choices. Third chair, stepmother. The room stays warm. The candle at her place does not go out. We do not excuse cruelty here, but we also do not pretend it comes from nowhere. She sits in brocade or in sensible gray. She has practiced. She has counted things, dresses, days, debts, the number of times she felt the door shut on her before she learned to hold it shut herself. In some houses, scarcity carved careful grooves into her. Control moved in and rearranged the furniture of her heart. Hear the distinction the tale offers in a bedtime voice. Understanding is not absolving. You can place a map under someone's choices and still mark a boundary around your own soft life. The stepmother's lessons arrive as warnings written in velvet script. Envy eats warmth. Power without tenderness chills a house. Elegance without generosity turns to ice. When she stands at the window and sees the coach go by, there is a short, private human sigh that lives in many versions, even if the camera looks away. It says, "I wanted a world that noticed me." It says, "I confused scarcity with safety and built a throne out of it." It says, "There must be another way." In modern retellings, sometimes she gets that other way, an arc that bends toward perspective, if not repentance. The Room allows that possibility without letting harm pass unmarked. Fourth chair, stepsisters. They enter like wind, voices high, arms full of fabric, plans on top of plans. They are funny because they try so hard. They are painful because they try in the wrong direction. In older rooms, they cut at their feet to fit the shoe. In gentler rooms, they cut at others with words and leave their own heart sore. The candle by their cups flickers impatiently until someone shields it with a palm. "Slow," the flame said. "Drink first, then talk." When the slipper finally finds its true fit, some versions leave the sisters in the doorway looking out at a road they did not take. Others lead them to a different path where learning is allowed. The modern bedtime chorus prefers this: growth that does not demand humiliation to make a point. We can laugh at their puffed pride and still wish them better shoes for walking toward better selves. Now let all four chairs speak to one another. Cinderella tells the godmother, "You did not make me new. You showed the room what I already was." The godmother replies, "I brought a coach, but you brought your heart." The stepmother watches the exchange and understands something about power. It does not have to glitter to be real. The sisters see the small knots in the hem of the gown and realize hands, ordinary hands, did that work. Grace wears stitches. The room changes as they talk. The house becomes less haunted by comparison. The mirrors soften. The stair lands feel safer. The kitchen, once a place of punishment, becomes a place of planning. The ball is not the peak. It is a shared effort with good lighting. The marriage, if there is one, is not the prize. It is a partnership added to a life already underway. Let's listen to each voice as a lullaby. Cinderella's lullaby says, "Keep the gentleness that keeps you. Kindness is not a bargain with fate. It is a way to be at home in your own skin." Godmother's lullaby says, "You are allowed to ask. Help that honors you is possible. Some doors are heavy. It is not weakness to bring friends." Stepmother's lullaby says, "I learned the wrong lessons about love. I am not safe to hold close right now. Step back. Close your door softly. Keep your warmth." Stepsister's lullaby says, "We were loud to cover fear. We can learn new songs. We can turn toward you without trying to be you. Now expand the room. Invite other women." The tale often forgets to name aloud the mother whose grave grows into a hazel tree, the kitchen helper who slips an extra roll into a pocket, the dressmaker who keeps the good ribbon for the right day, the queen who sees through a window and thinks, "The girl in blue makes the room kinder. Invite her again." Let them all have cups. Let their steam curl upward too. In these gatherings, power shifts. It is no longer a chair with sharp arms and a high back. It is a quilt sewn together, weight spread evenly, warmth shared. From this quilt, a house is repatterned. Rules change. No shoes that hurt, no clocks that scold, no masks that silence, magic that listens, work that is named and thanked, laughter that is not at someone's expense, but at the sheer relief of being in a room where harm has no job. If your eyes are heavy, let them be. The women can keep talking without you. Their voices are safe to sleep through. When you wake, they will still be exchanging recipes and boundaries and better midnights. Before we go, a small guided scene. You rise from your chair and carry your cup to the sink. Cinderella takes the cloth. The godmother turns on warm water. The stepmother opens the window to let in a kind breeze. The sisters dry and stack and hum. No one commands, no one counts. The work is done, and is also rest. When the last cup is set to drip on the rack, the godmother touches the window latch and says, "Fresh air, always." The stepmother nods. "Fresh air," she repeats, as if learning how it sounds through gentler teeth. "You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you." Hook to next chapter. The house grows a door to a backstage. The mirror grows a feed. The shoe tries on a city. New stages, new shoes, the same soft heartbeat. Chapter 8, 2015, 2025. New stages, new shoes. The backstage mirror hums with small lights. Sequins sleep on a hanger. A high-top sneaker sits beside a glittered pump, each content in its shape. A city outside practices its own waltz. Traffic like strings, crosswalks like time signatures. The next decade opens its hands. First, a familiar glow that refuses to fade. The 2015 live-action retelling shimmering again in living rooms. People keep pressing play because the film keeps pressing a hand to the pulse and saying, "Steady." It carries forward the motto that became many viewers' bedtime affirmation: have courage and be kind, and returns it to you whenever you need it. The dress still unfolds like calm water. The ball still loops like a quiet tide. The prince still listens as if attention is the truest royal act. This film remains a nightlight. Its color stays on low. Its lesson stays near the bed. Turn the mirror a little. The bulb reflections multiply into a collage of smaller stages. Phones, tablets, living room projectors, community theaters, school auditoriums with cardboard chandeliers, web series shot in warm kitchens and mossy parks. The tale moves like light moving across many surfaces. A new voice clears its throat. A maker princess who designs. She sketches gowns on paper, taped to a wall, measures with a tape draped around her neck, bargains for space to make things, bargains for the right not to shrink. The songbook is modern, the steps quicken. The message is not wait to be chosen, but choose and keep choosing. Not every note lands for every ear. That is all right. The room is big enough now for chords and counter melodies. The gown is not only for a ball anymore, it is also for a storefront window, a studio opening, a pitch. Ambition, when it is kind, is not a scold. It is a lantern. Across town, a sneaker taps. The story walks gender-flipped into a workshop where a boy named for light and shoes for flight tunes his craft late into the night. Fabric scraps on the floor look like confetti from a party that will happen tomorrow. The glass slipper becomes a design. Clear lines, soft support. The exact curve that says, run if you wish, glide if you can. New York becomes the ballroom. Staircases become stoops. The waltz becomes a sidewalk rhythm that knows how to cross on the blinking white of a city's permission. The message inhales. What you make can carry love. The message exhales. What you love can be how you move through the world. Notice how the magic adapts. The wand becomes a garment steamer, a sewing machine's steady purr, the glow of a phone as a video renders. The mice become a crew, a chat, a set of hands adjusting a hem just before a door opens. The coach becomes a rideshare that actually arrives on time. The footmen are still lizards at heart, surprised and delighted to be included. In the chorus, stage doors open. A West End marquee blinks a cheeky modern title. A new score laughs and winks and then sneaks a soft truth past your ribs. You can be lovely and loud and still long for a hand that holds gently. On another night, the same score crosses an ocean and tries a new street. Some parts work, some parts don't. And the story, generous as always, pockets whatever lines feel like keepers and leaves the rest for tomorrow's rehearsal. Fairy tales rehearse forever. That's how they stay alive. And then there is the platform age, where the ball happens every evening in 1,000 rooms streamed through 1,000 rectangles. Thrifted gowns turn into tutorials. Old curtains become capes. Rings lights stand in for chandeliers. A creator ties a ribbon around a bouquet of story beats and explains why the hazel tree matters, and her comments fill with people saying, "I needed that sentence today." A costumer posts progress shots of a bodice cut from curtains, and someone in another country replies with a photo of a dress made from a tablecloth. Twin spells cast in the same shared light. The algorithm is not a godmother. It is a clock with many hands. But sometimes, if enough people find rest in the same gentle clip, it carries that clip across the room and says, "More of this." Cottagecore waltzes through the feed. Bare feet in grass, teacups with hairline cracks, bread with raisins like lucky stones. Street style crashes the party and makes a new one. Sneakers with couture silhouettes, metallic jackets that flash like ballroom mirrors. The tale wears both and keeps its balance. The point has never been to choose between moss and chrome. The point is to walk in what fits you into a space that sees you while you see others. Return for a moment to the 4 chairs from the previous chapter, now gathered on a backstage marked with tape. They are watching from the wings as the new stages spin. Cinderella nods to the maker princess. "You worked for this?" The godmother whispers to the sneaker boy, "Your craft is a doorway." The stepmother, who has been learning, says to the algorithm, "Be careful not to starve the gentle voices." And the algorithm, which is really only many people at once, answers in data and then sometimes actually listens. The stepsisters look at a charity gala, at a community sewing circle, at a pop-up show in a park, and realize there are more rooms to be kind in than they'd ever imagined. They ask for a corner table and a stack of fabric. They start again. If you like a guided walk through these new shoes, we can try them on one by one. The glass clear heel, 2015's Echo. Step into a memory that still fits. Your heel finds the dip it knew. Your toes relax. The music is low. You are allowed to be recognized and still keep your own name. The workshop. Sneaker. Step into the thought that effort is beautiful. Feel the cushion. Meet your arch. The city is not a threat. It is a rhythm section. You can dance without leaving the ground. The stage boot. Step into a story that sings. Laces tie with a tug that feels like applause in miniature. You can kick at a chorus and grin and still tear up at a bridge. The thrifted Mary Jane. Step into a past loved by someone else and loved again by you. Scuffs are history, not flaws. You are part of a lineage of care. The barefoot moment. Step into grass. The ball was yesterday. The ball is tomorrow. For now, the earth is the floor, and the sky is the chandelier that works for everyone. Notice what stays the same under every shoe. Your step, your balance, your choice about when to leave. The clock in this decade has learned new chimes. Notifications ping. Messages arrive. Events stack. Midnight, though, remains the old friend who says, "Go home when your joy is still full." The spell you practice is not only transformation, it is also discernment. You ask, "Is this my room?" If yes, you enter. If no, you wave kindly and keep walking. A few pocket scenes from these years. A costume shop downstairs from a subway line hums after hours. 2 friends pin a hymn while a third reads lines aloud, testing jokes. On a corkboard, reference photos of a dozen Cinderellas across time. On the radio, a waltz someone remixed into a lo-fi loop. The door is propped for a breeze. The city peeks in like a neighbor and grins. A teenager in a bedroom with a poster wall sets a phone on a stack of books and teaches a follower how to make a petticoat from a thrifted sheet. In the comments, a grandmother writes, "My mother taught me this stitch," and a thread unspools across 3 generations. The video ends with a wink and a quiet good night. A community center gym becomes a ballroom for one evening. Paper snowflakes dangle from a basketball hoop. Folding chairs line a wall. A local DJ finds the perfect tempo. Someone's dad, shy in a corner, sways in place and suddenly remembers what it was to slow dance in high school. He laughs. He joins. A small theater sets a sign by the box office. No one turned away for a lack of funds. On stage, a godparent arrives with a wink and a toolbox. The godparent's pronouns fit their sparkle. The audience relaxes as if boundary and welcome were both spells to cast at once. They are. A designer posts a photo of a clear shoe that isn't glass at all, but a safe, flexible material. No pinches, no slips. If Cinderella had had these, the caption jokes, she would not have lost one. The likes accumulate like confetti. The comments fill with feet that felt seen. If your mind wants the old fairy wood again, you can have it. The decade does not evict the past. It adds rooms and leaves connecting doors open. You can move from velvet to neon and back, from powdered sugar to streetlight shine, from orchestra swell to bedroom speaker hush, without losing yourself at any doorway. One more kindness before we go. Recognition has expanded. It is not only a prince, it is not only a palace. It can be a friend who says, "I kept a seat for you." A viewer who writes, "This video helped me sleep when I was afraid." A stranger who messages, "Your dress taught me I could be kind to my body." A partner who hears midnight in your voice before the clock tells them and takes your hand home. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. Chapter 9. Why we keep telling it. Class, care, recognition, rest. A window fogs with breath. A fingertip draws a small heart on the glass and then lets it fade. Outside, the street is quiet. Inside, a kettle clicks and settles. The room is ordinary and perfect. Tonight we answer a gentle question. Why do we keep telling this tale? We will answer slowly. Like a door that opens without creak. Like a blanket finding your shoulders. Like the hush between chimes. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. 1. Class labor. The ash on the skin. Cinderella begins with work. Floors to scrub. Pots to scour. Ash on hands, on skirts, on the soft line of a cheek. The tale respects work by showing it. It does not hide chores behind a cutaway. It gives them rhythm and light. It lets a broom be a wand of another kind. In many houses, some people rest while others never stop. The tale knows this and will not pretend otherwise. It says, here is a girl in a house that eats her time. Here is a girl who meets each task with quiet skill. Her labor is not her whole identity. It is the field in which her kindness grows. It is the garden where her patience takes root. There is a deep comfort here. The comfort of being seen in your doing. Someone notices the way you fold shirts. Someone notices how you wash a cup until it shines. Someone notices how your feet ache and how you still smile at the cat and share your last crust with a mouse. The tale notices and says, you deserve more than this, not because you suffer, because you are you. In some versions, riches arrive like dawn. In others, they arrive like a small raise, a clean room of your own, a door you can shut. Either way, the arc is not from nothing to everything. It is from unseen to recognized, from used to cherished, from endless labor to rest that is allowed. Let your hands rest now, even if they were only busy in your mind. Place them loosely on the blanket. Feel the warmth come back like a tide. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. 2. Care. The quiet economy of kindness. In every telling, care flows. It flows from Cinderella to animals, to trees, to strangers. It flows back to her from birds, from godmothers, from friends. Care is not a transaction here. It is a current. You step into it, and it carries you toward a room that needs what you bring. Care is the stitch that keeps a dress from fraying. It is also the laugh that makes a spell work better. It is the cup of water left by a grave. It is the hand steadying your elbow on a staircase. It is the godmother looking at you and seeing that you are tired, and then making the world lighter so you can stand up again. We tell this tale because it rehearses care in our bodies. When the mice sew, our fingers twitch with them. When the bird sings the truth, our throats loosen. When the godmother says bippity, and we smile, that smile is care for ourselves. The room grows kinder because we practice kindness on our faces. Imagine your own small current of care now. Perhaps you make tea for someone. Perhaps you hold a door for a stranger. Perhaps you email a sentence that says, "I saw your work. It mattered to my day." These are spells. They change a house. They change a hallway. They change the air. The tale says, do not wait for a crown to practice care. Practice now in ash and apron and sneakers. When the ballroom comes, your steps will already know the dance. 3. Recognition. To be seen without performing. The slipper is a ceremony of recognition. It is not about size. It is not about beauty. It is about the exactness of truth. This is mine. This is me. This is how I walk. This is how I rest. We keep telling this story because we hunger for that click. The moment when someone looks and truly sees, not the costume, not the mask, not the labor, you. The prince is a symbol here. Sometimes a partner, sometimes a friend, sometimes a community, sometimes a job that fits, not because it is fancy, but because it matches your measure. Recognition is the prize that does not cheapen the giver or the receiver. It restores balance. It returns a life to its rightful owner. Think of a time someone recognized you. A teacher who said, "This is your voice." A manager who said, "That's your strength." A friend who said, "I noticed the way you light up other rooms." The shoe slid on. It did not pinch. You breathed. Now think of a time you gave recognition. You telling a child, "That was brave." You telling a colleague, "That was generous." You telling yourself in a mirror, "That was enough." You became the slipper bearer. You became the moment that fits. We rehearse recognition in the tale so we can recognize each other in the day. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. 4. Boundaries, midnight, the right to leave while joy is whole. Midnight is mercy. The story returns to this again and again. Stay, dance, shine. Then go, rest. Let the magic nap with you. Boundaries often arrive dressed like clocks. The chime is the body saying, "Close the laptop." The hand sweeping to 12 is the mind saying, "No more doom scrolling." The echo is the heart saying, "We can love this and still step away." We tell this tale because it teaches the rhythm of enough. Fairy tales without midnight trap us in more, more, more. This one says, just right. It says, again tomorrow. It says, home. If you want, Picture a small clock on your nightstand. It smiles. It is not stern. It cares for your sleep. It ticks like a purr. When you need to, you turn it to the wall and feel time loosen. It keeps your place. 5. Found family. The house that kindness builds. The first house is cold. The last house is warm. In between, a found family forms. Mice, birds, godparents, gardeners, dressmakers, friends. The tale softens the harsh line between blood and belonging. It says, family is who keeps the kettle warm for you. Family is who hears midnight in your voice. Family is who says you can have the last piece of cake and means it. We keep telling the story to remind ourselves to build that house. Invite good people. Let them invite you back. Lock the door against unkindness. Open it for generosity. Light a candle in the window for someone finding their way. 6. Rest. The right to be soft at day's end. At the core, this is a bedtime story. It understands rest not as a prize, but as a right. After work, after the ball, after the search, there is a room. There is a bed. There is a nightgown like a cloud. There is a window cracked for air. There is breathing. There is sleep. We tell it because it helps us do the thing we forget. Stop. The last image is not a triumphal parade. It is a slow fade. A slipper by the bed. A dress folded. A crown on a hook by the door. Or no crown at all. The heart lowering itself onto a pillow and staying. If you have been carrying something heavy, set it down. On the floor beside the bed, where it will not trip you in the dark. You can pick it up tomorrow or not. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. A guided waltz for tired minds. Stand in your imagination at the top of a staircase. The banister is cool. The hall below is lit with many small lights. The music is a simple pattern. Step, turn, pause, step, turn, pause. Walk down. Touch the floor with your shoe. Feel it answer. Across the room, someone kind smiles. You smile back. You do not cross the whole floor at once. You cross it little by little, greeting familiar faces, a dove, a seam, a twig, a clock, a laugh. Each nods. Each says, we know you. Dance once. Not until your feet hurt, just until your breath says, yes, that is enough. Then walk to the garden. The air is cool and soft. Sit on a bench. The fountain knows your name. When you are ready, go home. The coach is waiting. The cushion is warm. The road is smooth. The door opens. The room is the exact size of your evening. Lay down. Sleep. Pocket scenes. Why it still works. Laundry room. Midnight. A student folds clothes beneath humming machines. She is broke, hopeful, kind. She hums a lullaby from a cartoon. A stranger says, that song saved me once. They smile at each other. Recognition. 2 slippers click. Nurse's station, 3 o'clock. A nurse with tired eyes tucks a blanket around a patient. In the staff kitchen, someone has left a note. Fresh muffins, please take. Fairy godmothers leave muffins. The clock purrs. The ward rests. Bus stop evening. A man in paint-splattered pants shares his umbrella with an elderly woman. Thank you, darling, she says. He shrugs. My mother taught me. Hazel trees grow into sons and daughters. Backstage community theater. A teenager in a thrifted gown shakes. A friend says, you are enough. The dress is just the dress. The teen exhales. The friend ties the last ribbon. The godmother's wand is a gentle voice. Office Friday. A manager notices the quiet worker who keeps everything running. You carried us this week, they say. Take Monday. The slipper fits. The shoe is time. Kitchen dawn. A parent packs a lunch, writes a note. Be brave, be kind, I love you. The child opens it at noon and feels the ball and the bench and the fountain without knowing why. Spells can be sandwiches. We keep telling it because we live inside these scenes every day. We keep telling it because it helps us choose who to be in them. A gentle philosophy in 6 lines. Work is real. You are not your work. Kindness is power when it protects you and others. Recognition is a human need, not a vanity. Boundaries keep joy whole. Family can be built. Rest is sacred. Say them softly if you like. Let them settle like feathers on a mantle. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. Hook to next chapter. The slipper waits at the foot of a bed. The clock lifts its face once. A carriage bell rings somewhere far and friendly. One last waltz across 100 years. Chapter 10. The Last Waltz. A Century's Lullaby. The room is dim enough to dream in, bright enough to see your hand on the table. The slipper, the twig, the feather, the clock hand, the pumpkin stem, the ribbon. Around the room, the shadows of 100 tellings. They do not crowd. They stand like quiet guests at a small, perfect party thrown for your sleep. We will stitch the century now, not tight, not rushed, like quilting, like braiding, like combing hair before bed. The first thread. Ash to gown. Begin at the hearth. A girl lifts a pot. The pot is heavy, but she's steady. In the rafters, birds talk about tomorrow. On the sill, a twig waits in a jar. She hums. Kindness is not noise, it is a frequency. The house cannot block it. Move to the page. Old stories whisper names. Yeshan, Rhodopis, Aschenputtel. A sandal on wind. A fish spirit's gift. A hazel tree that remembers love like a ledger written in green. Slide to the screen. Shadows dance. Silhouette fingers flicker like lace. The projector purrs. People lean forward. The slipper finds its foot again and again, and each time someone in the audience cries without knowing why. Color arrives like morning. Powder blue, candle gold. Mary Blair blues and grays and dawns. A cat smirks and slides. Mice stitch and cheer. A godmother laughs and makes logistics sing. A waltz floats. A clock kind calls you home. Snow falls in Bohemia. A hawk shrieks once and wheels. A girl rides like a promise in motion. Wishes come practical and precise. A dress that can live in a forest and in a hall. A prince who learns by looking twice. The slipper is a right, not a test. Television lifts a curtain in 1,000 rooms at once. Julie breathes. Leslie smiles. Brandy meets the lens with eyes that say, "You can too." Whitney laughs. "Impossible," she sings, and then fixes the spelling in your heart. Stages turn. Soviet palaces gleam with simple angles and bright music. Picture books gild the edges of sleep. Across a continent, a mother says, "One more page," and means 3. A trunk opens. Ever After lays the wand aside and keeps the wings inside the woman. A Cinderella story finds masks in lockers and barefoot courage at a school dance. Ella breaks a command with her whole body shaking and becomes her own godmother. Into the Woods lets the moon pose the hard questions and does not punish you for answering honestly. 2015 shines. Have courage and be kind on the ceiling like a nightlight, and calls you back to bed whenever you forget. Symbols line up like quiet saints, a shoe that fits, a clock that protects, a tree that shelters, birds that testify, a pumpkin that moves you, a mask that lets you enter and then release. Women of the house rearrange their chairs. Cinderella speaks first. The godmother pours tea. The stepmother learns a new word, enough. The stepsisters giggle and then listen and then try. New shoes step in, maker princesses, workshop boys. Cottagecore waltzes in boots, street-style spins and mirrored jackets. Thrifted gowns hum with old joy made you. Ring lights replace chandeliers, and somehow the waltz still works. Recognition rises from many places now. A comment section that feels like a choir. A community hall with paper snowflakes, and no one turned away. A hospital corridor where a note says, "Sleep if you can. I've got you." The slipper waits. The floor waits. The heart practiced rests. The second thread. The ball and the bench. Place two images side by side. The ballroom and the garden bench. This is the whole tale. The bright room that sees you. The quiet place that holds you. The dance, the departure. We have been taught to love the ball only. The tale insists on the bench too. Recognize me. Now let me go and keep myself. Choose me. Now let me choose my boundary. The music and the fountain. The hand and the breath. The bow and the door. It is the bench that teaches the longevity of joy. The ball shows you you can be light. The bench shows you you can be light and still close your eyes. The coach carries you between the two. The clock ensures the bridge is always there. Imagine yourself walking that bridge now. Music fades behind you. Night air cools your cheeks. Ahead, a small house, a bed. The slipper makes one small sound as you set it by the door. You smile into the dark because you are known, in the hall and in this room, and in your own bones. The third thread. Gratitude, a lullaby of thanks. Thank you to the hands that cut paper into lace and made shadows dance enough to hold a century. Thank you to the painters who mixed a blue that became bedtime. Thank you to the animators who gave mice the dignity of work and made their small stitches the spine of a dream. Thank you to the singers who told us wishes speak softly and still arrive. Thank you to the writers who gave us trees that grieve and heal, birds that correct gently, and clocks that keep us from burning out on a dance floor. Thank you to the actors who looked at us through a lens and said, "We can make this room bigger." Thank you to the mothers and fathers and grand-someones who read the same page again and again and never said, "No more." Thank you to the teenagers who made gowns from curtains and believed it counted. Thank you to the communities that put paper snowflakes on basketball hoops and called it enough. It was. Thank you to the workers who kept theaters clean and projectors running and subscripts typed and streaming servers humming and school auditoriums unlocked. Thank you to the godmothers we meet every day, the friend who drove us home, the stranger who said, "After you," the manager who said, "I saw what you did," the neighbor who said, "I made extra." Thank you to you for listening, for choosing gentleness when it was not asked for and not rewarded, and doing it anyway because that is the person you are. The tail bows, you bow back. Two old friends practiced in the right kind of thanks. The fourth thread. A final guided waltz across the century. Close your eyes. We will walk through 100 years in 6 slow steps. Step 1, the hearth. Feel the warm tile. Hear the small roar of flame. Smell bread. A broom leans. A cat stretches. A girl hums. A bird tilts its head. You are here. You are ordinary, and that is a glory. Step 2, the page. Turn it. The paper whispers. Names float. Shoes gleam. Fish bones remember. A king lifts a sandal from sand. A ruler touches a shoe like it is a star fallen into a palm. You are a reader, which is to say, a traveler at rest. Step 3, the screen. A beam through dust. A silhouette bows. A mouse ties a knot with 2 paws and his whole soul. A godmother laughs. Blue pours like water over shoulders. A cord suspends and lands. You are in the dark together. together is soft. Step 4, the stage in the snow. A hawk wheels. A live microphone catches a breath before a note. A set sparkles in a jewel box way. A dress breathes. A young singer in 1997 looks at you, and you look at her, and the word possible grows new rooms. Step 5, the trunk. Boots, sneakers, velvet, denim, wings inside ribs. Texts that say, "Are you safe?" Songs that admit mistakes. Color that tells the truth. Courage that is humble. Kindness that is firm. A voice in 2015 that says, "Be kind and brave." And the words stick like warm bread to a hungry day. Step 6, the table. Lay out the symbols. Slipper, clock, twig, feather, stem, ribbon. Place your own small thing next to them. A key, a pen, a picture, a button, a shell. This, you say, is also me. The tail nods. "Of course," it says. "Of course." Now dance, not long, not hard. Once around the room with your breath, step, turn, pause. You are alone, and also everybody, and also very specifically you. End at the door. Slip off the shoe, bend. Place it where you will find it in the morning. Walk to bed. The 5th thread. Blessings for sleep. Take these as you need them. May your work be seen and fairly held. May your care return to you multiplied. May recognition find you without you having to shout. May your midnights be merciful and your mornings slow. May your found family keep a light in the window. May your rest be long and untroubled. If a worry knocks, let the godmother answer the door. If regret whispers, let the tree rustle in reply. If envy scratches, let the birds sing the truth and fly on. If the day tries to follow you into the room, let the clock turn its face to the wall and hum. Not now. You are safe. You are warm. The story will watch over you. The last images. A slipper on a stair. It waits without anxiety. It knows exactly who will come. A bench by a fountain. Water goes on because water goes on. You sit. You feel your shoulders drop. Somewhere music remembers your name. A kitchen lamp left on low. The room is a friend. On the table, a note. There is bread. There is honey. Sleep first. A hazel tree in morning. Dew on leaves like pearls. Birds walking like tiny clerks. They approve each new day with beaks and bright eyes. A door cracked, not close. Air moves through. Curtains lift and settle. The world is here and will still be here when you wake. Good night. We have walked a long, gentle road, from ash to gown to ash again, from page to screen to stage to screen again, from silence to song and back to the quiet that cradles both. 100 years, perhaps more. Enough years to prove that this tale is not a glass thing that shatters. It is a living thing that learns. It makes room. It makes rest. Lay your head down now. Pull the blanket higher. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands forget the shape of the broom, the keyboard, the steering wheel, the list. Let your feet thank your shoes and then forget them too. The last bell rings once, far away, not to call you out, but to guide you in. The carriage does not rush, it rocks. The horses breathe like the sea. The road is smooth. The house appears. The door opens. Inside, a room. The right side, your size. A bed made as if someone loved you. Someone did. You. Slip into sleep. The tail will turn down the lamp and close the curtains and take the slipper from the floor and set it on the table to shine softly at the edge of your dream. You are safe. You are warm. Your dreams know the way. Good night.